to talk about it's not the years in your life, but the life in your years. And I thought I had just come up with that. I thought I was just brilliant to come up with that title, but it kind of sounded familiar. So I looked it up. Well, it is Abraham Lincoln's, one of his famous quotes. And think about it. Think about Abraham Lincoln. He suffered from severe depression, severe depression. And then he was hated by at least half of our country. He was president during the worst part of our country, and our country has gone through a lot, but that was the worst because the country was divided and fighting against each other. And in the midst of this, he could come up with this quote saying, "It's not the years in our life, but the life that we put into our years." And so I think that says a lot for a man that, went through some of the hardships that he went through. And so what I believe this is all about is learning to live in the moment. Right now is the moment of power. This is all that we have, is this moment. That's all that we're assured of, is this moment. And instead of, getting way off into the future, when we get into the future, we get into fear. It's like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Or we look back at the past too far and we get guilty and we get to thinking, oh, I wished I hadn't done that. And why did I say that? So health and recovery is about living in the present moment. And it's not always easy to do that. But it is about looking around and see what is we can be grateful for in this moment. To live life at its fullest in the moment, And then, one of the things is to show up and be present, to just show up and show up for other people, and show up for yourself. So I was looking this morning, I was just kind of flipping on Facebook, and I saw Anthony, what's his name? The
Hopkins?
Huh?
Hopkins?
Yes, Anthony Hopkins. He was talking this morning. Today is his 47th AA birthday, his sobriety date. He did not say AA. He said his sobriety date, 47 years. And what he said is that pretty much what this topic is how to put life into your years. And he was talking about the number one thing that he had to learn. He said when he sobered up, he was a mess. He was a mess. He was a mean mess. He was a hateful mess. Mess. And what he had to learn was to be kind. And several things on Facebook this morning mentioned being kind. And my friend Misty put something on Facebook, and I noticed at the second thing on her list was being kind to each other, kind to ourselves, cutting ourselves a little slack. Most addicts we're harder on ourselves a lot of times than anyone else is. And so it's about cutting ourselves a little slack, being kind to ourselves, and being kind to others, and being fully in the moment. I was reading something the other day it was about to cause a divorce, and I can chuckle over it, but it's very serious in today's time. This man was talking about, a lot of times women complain that their husbands don't talk. Well, this was reversed. This was a husband saying that he could never talk to his wife because she had the phone. And she would say things like, well, I'm just looking up what you're talking about. I'm just looking at this. I'm looking at that. That is a distraction. And when you're looking, or when we are, I am, any of us are looking at the phone, I don't think we have the brain capacity to be fully listening to the person that's visiting with us. So I might need to do another thing on the telephone, or that addiction to the telephone and electronics. But anyway, today we're talking about how to put more life into our years. And I don't want to get all morbid and all of that, but anyway, it is what it is. Uh, you know, who's the lady who was 90 last week? Anyway,
famous?
There was a famous woman, and she was the first one to stand up for women.
Gloria.
Gloria, what anyway? Steinem. Gloria Steinem.
Yeah.
Gloria Steinem was 90 years old last week. 90 years old. And she said that it's hard for her to get in her brain that she's 90. That when people ask her, that she says that she's 81. And I thought, good, that's young. I'm 81. I'm not 90. But anyway, you look at it, and what she said is past 80 is our mortality years. We never know how long we're going to be around. I want to live if God's willing, and I'm stay healthy. I'd like to live to be about 100, 105, I don't know. But the main thing is taking care of ourselves. We can't hope to live any length of life if we don't take care of ourselves. Well, if I took any better care of myself, it would be a 24-hour job. I have learned, when I was raising children, when I was growing up, I wasn't parented in a healthy way. I wasn't taken care of, and I didn't learn how to take care of myself. I'll tell you how I learned to take care of myself was through Al-Anon Family Group and having an Al-Anon sponsor and other 12-step programs. That's how I learned how to start taking care of myself. And today, it's not a full-time job, and it takes up some time, but I do take care of myself. And one of the things that I think is so important is to stay active regardless of, or no matter what, whatever our age is stay active. I have friends, and I'm not going to call any names, but I've got friends that are my age that, and I'm not being critical, well, yeah, I guess I am, but they sit in their chairs, their easy chairs, and watch TV most of the day. I don't even know anything about daytime TV, nor do I want to know anything about daytime TV. I watch TV very little. I watched 2 basketball games this week, and I'm just not a TV watcher. Now, Kim, my daughter that's on here, she lives close by, and so sometimes we'll watch a movie together, but I'm not going to spend my life sitting in front of that TV set or in front of a computer, any kind of screen, because what that includes is setting, doing a lot of setting. And if you want to get old, set a lot, just set. And, my daughters tell me, that I could outwork any of them, but I probably can't. God has blessed me with so much energy. I've had lots of energy all my life, and I'm grateful for that. And where I put my energy today is and I think in order to put life into our years is to have something you enjoy doing. And what I enjoy doing, in fact, right now, I can hardly sit here because I want to be out there in my greenhouse. I love gardening, and when I hear people saying gardening, that just sounds so boring, but it's not for me. When I'm out there in that greenhouse and I watch a seed go from a seed to a little bitty sprout, from a sprout to a stalk, from a stalk to a flower, I mean, I love it. I love it. And I can spend all my time out there. I have to really watch, and I can spend all the time in my yard. So get a hobby is what I'm saying. Get to do something that takes your mind off of, or us, that takes our mind off of ourselves. is so I'm gonna, you know how I am. I usually have a little list to go over, and one of the things I think at the very first is at the list is to trust God. If we don't get up of a morning and put our loved ones, ourselves, our problems, our blessings, whatever, in God's hands, you know, he's a gentleman. He doesn't come in and jerk them away from us. You know, we have to ask. And so make conscious contact. That's one of the things one of my first sponsors said, is to make conscious contact with God of a morning before you make conscious contact with people. And you're less likely to mess up the day. So trust God. And number two, and this is something dear to my heart. I put this down because it is dear to my heart, may not be yours, is to travel. Travel if you can. And if you can't travel long distances, go on short road trips. I love me a road trip. I didn't feel well yesterday, and Tuesdays are Misty and I run around. We go to run errands in town and all, and I didn't feel like doing that. So she just took me riding around, and we went out to the cemetery. I went out and visited, she visited her dad's grave, and I visited Mr. Mack's grave. It's almost 11 years, coming up on 11 years since he's passed, but we went out and looked at the bluebonnets. And by the time I left there, I was feeling better. You know, it's something to get outside, to see something. Travel. Now, speaking of travel, I'm going to give a little commercial. July the 27th, we are flying to Iceland to board a ship. We're going on a cruise. It's a Sober Sailor cruise. And I'll be the speaker. I've done two, and this will be, I'm going to do two. I'm going to do this one this year to Iceland. And the itinerary is wonderful. We'll go to Iceland, Greenland, then we're going to go down the coast of Canada to Nova Scotia. We're going to wind up in New York City for a couple of days, and then we're going to go visit Bill W. Lois's home, Stepping Stones. So the itinerary is going to be fun. We'll be back August the 8th, but it's on the days that we're sailing, we'll do little workshops, and it's not going to be, you know, just real serious me teaching. It'll be all of us sharing recovery. That's what recovery is to share. And you know, like I said, Anthony Hopkins this morning just shared about his birthday, just 47 years. That just touched my heart. So anyway, travel if you can. If you can't get out all over the world, go to the next county. Sometimes I like to just go drive around down to Coleman. It's a little town 35 miles from here. So anyway, number three, don't compare yourself with others and what they have achieved. You know, celebrate people's achievements and support them in their achievements and in their endeavors, but don't compare yourself, with them and put yourself down because at your age you haven't accomplished as much as they have or blah, blah, blah. Don't do that. Don't compare yourself with others and support each other in whatever achievements people make. And then number four is appreciate what you have. Now, it just sounds like I'm just this perfect recovering person. I'll tell you, I'm not. But, you know, habits start by you do something and you do it again the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day. Then after a while, it becomes a habit. You know, what we think is how we act, and how we act becomes a habit, and that habit becomes our character or who we are. And so a habit that I had gotten into through a sponsor many years ago, 55 years ago, I guess, is she said, you know, make conscious contact with God before making conscious contact with people. And then and this was when I had a house full of children. And she said, but take a few minutes to thank God for what you're grateful for. And some of those days, you know, I had a drunk husband, a drunk mother. I had, blessed my heart, things were hard, and there'd be times that it would be hard to find things I was grateful for. And she would get on to me. She said, "Well, you look around your bedroom. Do you have a bed to sleep in? Is the house warm? Is the house cool in the summertime? Do you have, So she taught me to be thankful for the small things, everything. So here I am, Miss Perfect. I wake up of a morning, and I just changed my sheets day before yesterday from the flannel winter sheets to crisp white sheets. And this morning I woke up and the smell was wonderful and the crispness from that. Anyway, I just had to thank God for my sheets and my coverlet, my covers and the fluffy cover that I have. And just look around your surroundings and thank God for everything. I mean, I've got a plant here, I've got a friend here, gratitude. And it's hard to be hateful and grateful at the same time. I have a tendency, I think I was born with it. I was raised by hateful people, and I think I have a little bit of hatefulness in me. I don't know. But when it rears its ugly head, I have to really be conscious of that. And it usually comes up when I feel bad. So I have to be really conscious of it. If I feel hateful, switch it to find something to be grateful for instead of being such a hateful heifer, So be grateful. Be grateful. And number 6 is don't be so hard on yourself. Cut yourself a little slack. Don't be so hard on yourselves. Maybe you haven't accomplished everything you wanted to accomplish at your age. Maybe your goals aren't what God's goals are. You might want to seek His will more. Maybe you've got a different direction that He wants you to go in. Who knows? Just get off your own back. I had the pleasure many, many years ago, and I've shared this with y'all, of working with a group of Russians that were over here. They were over here for a year. And they were going from treatment center to treatment center. These were psychiatrists, doctors, nurses, addiction therapists, police officers, anyone that might be exposed to anyone with an addiction. And they were over here to learn how to treat addiction. And so I was invited along with my dear friend Barbara Caraway, who's no longer with us. She lived in Florida. We were invited to work with these folks a week on codependency. Codependency was very, very new then. And so it was my great pleasure to get to work with these folks. And it was pretty much what we did was a breaking free or a intensive. Some of y'all have been in our intensives. And the struggle was we didn't speak Russian and they didn't speak English. But the type of work that we did was everyone could understand. We did a lot of role playing. And at the end, there was this one woman that said at the end of it, and what she had admitted during that week was that she was bulimic, and it was some of her fellow people that were with her, the way they confronted her is that they said that she did, she would eat, and then they acted her out throwing up. But anyway, one of the things that she said, and I've always loved this, when we got ready to leave and we were doing the closing, she said that what she had gotten out of that week was more than she had gotten anywhere over the United States. She said what she had gotten was a liking for herself. I love that. She had taken a liking for herself. If we don't take a liking for ourselves, how can we expect other people to like us? When we put ourselves down, we're putting down God's handiwork. So don't be so hard on yourself. Take a liking for yourself today. And then number 7, and y'all all know this, and this is the good part of being in a 12-step program. We're not wandering around without answers. We have the answers, folks. It's applying them. So number 7 is take care of ourselves. Take care of yourself spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. Take care of ourselves. There is so much on Facebook. My Lord have mercy on my soul. Goodness gracious, there's more ways to lose weight than you can ever imagine. And people are making thousands upon millions of dollars on people how to lose weight. And so, uh, anyway, take care of yourself mentally, physically, spiritually. And I want to tell you, and this is on every list that you might see of how to take care of yourself, and this is exercise. Exercise. And we may think, oh, well, when you think of exercise, getting dressed in those tight little things and putting on tennis shoes and going to a gym. I mean, some people do that, and that's great if you want to do that. I've been there, done that, and I don't want to do it anymore. What I do is, and I'm very grateful that I have an assistant, and her name is Misty. She used to be director of food services at Shades, and now she's spending time being my assistant because I need some assistants, folks. So one of the things that she does for me every day, to the best of our ability, at least 5 days a week, we exercise. And it's not any grandiose exercise. It's 15 minutes of yoga. And you can get it on YouTube. It doesn't cost anything. And you can get every type of yoga. And I'm loving it because, and I will tell you this, my shoulders, I've had bad knees and I went and had stem cells and I can walk, my knees are good and all of that. But when I got there, I had so much pain in my shoulders, I was crying. And that doctor said, well, let's do something about your shoulders before we get to the knees. And but what's wrong with my shoulders? They couldn't do stem cell because there's nothing in there. They're held together by a cyst, but it's a benign cyst. But anyway, all the doctors say that I need to have surgery, shoulder replacement in my arms. Well, I'll tell you what I've been doing. One thing, Misty, and I want to tell you, if you don't think prayer works, you might want to try it. Misty has been praying for my shoulders, and she has a prayer list. If you want to be prayed for, you ask Misty because she gets her list, her people. And I didn't know this. I didn't know all of that. I thought it was all exercise. But she's been praying for my shoulders for 3 years. And then I've been doing this yoga and exercising. I want to tell you folks, look here. I can raise my arms, I can raise them. And I couldn't get them up above right here. Now look at me. Look what I can do. Look what I can do. That is a miracle beyond miracles because I couldn't lift my arms above my elbow. And I have not had anybody's surgery. But what I've done is faithful doing that yoga and then prayer. And I believe absolutely that prayer and us taking action, I think those two together, I mean, God could have done it all by himself, but I think I helped a little bit by doing the exercise. Okay, number 8 is live intentionally. With intentional, and what that means is one of the best ways to live a meaningful life is to live with intention. What do you intend to do? Or do you just float around through the day and not have any real intentions? And so being intentional is seeking ways that you could improve yourself and then be helpful to others. Because as as we help ourselves, hopefully we're helping others. And one of the things that I did, I think I missed that. One of the things that was on Misty's list, and that was on the Anthony Hopkins list this morning, was being kind. And one of the things that I pride myself on is being kind to people who work in retail. I work at it very hard, like at restaurants or checking, going through. I used to check groceries, and I know I could get some of the rudest people, and if I missed a price, anyway, I won't go into all that. That was 100 years ago when I checked groceries. But I try to be mindful because before recovery, I wasn't. I was the meanest thing to people, particularly, and got to where my kids didn't even want to go to the grocery store with me because I would be hateful to people, and because I was so full of rage and anger that I'd never worked on, and so being kind. And so the other day, and I don't go to the grocery store a whole lot, but anyway, I was in the grocery store at this big, nice grocery store in town. And the young man that was sacking my groceries, he was just frowning, and I spoke to him and I said, "How are you?" He never answered. I kept trying to talk with him. He never answered. He never cracked a smile. And I finally said, and I know this is passive aggressive, so you don't have to text me about this. I already know it. So, but I asked him, "How long have you hated your job?" And he said, 1 year and 1 day. I've been here 1 year and 1 day and I hate it. I said, "Why don't you do the customers and your boss a favor and go find you a new job?" I did that at a restaurant. Our whole family, years ago, when we'd go to Six Flags, there's this famous Mexican food restaurant there. It's called Papacitas, and so we'd all go there, before or after Six Flags, usually before. So we went one Sunday, and they pride themselves on service. It's an excellent restaurant. The atmosphere is good. The wait staff is always just wonderful. But that day we got this waiter that was the hatefulest thing, and we had small children, and he was very ugly to those small children. And so I asked him my famous question: "How long have you hated your job?" And he said, 3 years, so many months, and so many days. And I said, "Would you ask the manager to come over here?" So he brought the manager over, and I said, "Now tell your boss how long you have hated your job." And he said, 3 months, so many days. Anyway, the man fired him on the spot. And he needed to. He needed to. Because that young man at that grocery store, that waiter at that restaurant represents that entire business. Your front end people represent the entire business. That's why I used to work, my job used to be working with the staff to be kind to our clients. You don't bring your bad attitude to work. You leave it outside the door. They are, that's our job to love on those clients. And so I know that's passive aggressive, so like I said, you don't have to let me know that, but if people are not doing their job, you might ask them, "How long have you hated your job?" And they'll tell you, because if they're that unhappy, they hate their job, and they need to go on down the road and find another one. So, so I don't know how I got into that through Live Life Intentionally, and then instead of just floating through life, having an intention. And then improve yourself and where you can be helpful to others. And then number 9, I don't know where I came up with this, explore yourself. See, at my age, I'm having to look deeper and deeper inside and outside. I really want to live the best life I can live in these next few years, however long. I've mentioned this before. The last time I went for a checkup, my doctor, I can't believe she said this. You get a colonoscopy every 10 years. And one of the things that she said, "Oh, well, you won't need but one more colonoscopy." Can you believe she said that? And boy, that stuck in my brain. I'm going to tell her about it the next time I go. But anyway, it says, what I'm saying is explore yourself. Look inward, deeper and deeper, inside and outside yourself. You know what that is? That's a 4th step. If you're having problems with yourself or with others, if you're a 12-stepper, you might want to look and do a really good 10th step. The 10th step is really doing the first 9 steps over every day. That's what the 10th step is. You got a problem, you got step 1. What is the problem? You want a solution, step 2, God's the solution. You want to stay in the problem or you want the solution. 3, you make a decision, it's up to you. And then 4, you do an inventory of your part of what's ever in that problem. So step 4, when you want to dig deeper inside and have a deeper dive inside yourself, go to your sponsor. You might need to do another 4th step. And what you're going to look at, if you're an old-timer in the program, and old-timers are just people that keep showing up that have been around for a while. When you're doing that, if you do some more step work, which we all need to, is look for the joy and the peace that you have today compared to what you might have had when you did the first 4 step. There's no comparison in my life today than what it was when I did that first 4 step. There's no comparison. I never dreamed that I could get to live the life that I live today from where I came from. I didn't know it was a possibility. Now, I will tell you, once I found people how I found them. I would like to tell you, I found them all in church. I didn't, because I would go to church and then I'd criticize them because they were not perfect, which people are not in church are not. But I didn't find my recovery in church. You go to church not to recover. You go to church to get with other believers and worship God. I go to a 12-step program to get well. That's the difference. There's 2 differences. But what 12-step people taught me years ago is to look for joy and peace in the moment, regardless of what's happening. Find something where and that's where we do this deeper dive down into ourselves and find some joy. And with the joy is going to come some peace. I had a guy here one time from Mississippi. And I would just laugh every time we would do feelings and he would say joy. You know how many syllables it took him to say joy from Mississippi? Joy, yeah. I mean, anyway, I'll never forget him speaking Mississippi when he said joy. Okay. Number 10, have a beginner's outlook. Have a beginner's mind. Look at everything in a new way. Like I'm looking, and I'd hate to keep bringing up my flowers, but I'm looking at my gardening. I mean, I know such very little, and I want to learn more and more. I want to go take a master gardening course because I want to learn more about how to take care of my plants. And, so have a beginner's mind and find something new. There's something new in everything. Find something new. Ask questions. Be interested in what other people are doing. I'm a question asker. Y'all know what that is? The person that asks the questions is in control. You notice. If you're asking, whoever's asking the questions are in control. I didn't know that for years. I just knew I was inquisitive. And I like to know what people were doing and, what they did in their homes. I don't think it was being nosy. I was just inquisitive. I loved it. And I've been asking questions since I was a little girl. So be interested in what other people are doing. Pay attention to others and have a listening for others. That phone business that I talked about, when we're on our phones and someone's talking, we really can't have a listening for them. So it's about putting the phone down and looking at people and really having a listening for each other. And then the last thing is, or 2 things, is find something every day to laugh about, to giggle about life. Find something to, my friend Jeff, he loves to laugh, but laugh, giggle, find some fun in everything. I mean, in something every day. And find you a best friend, like my friend Misty. A best friend, I call a best friend a running buddy, someone that you can do things with, that you can go run to town, you can do this, you can do that, and you can giggle with, and you can laugh. And that can be with, I mean, I can get with my daughters and get with Cam, and I consider her one of my daughters, and we can laugh. We can go on a short road trip, and all of us get in there, and we can find things to laugh about. We went on one not long ago looking for zinnias, and we had fun doing that. So the last thing, and then I'm going to ask y'all, is love your family and do special things for them. We're always saying, you know, love others, love others, love others. That's great, great, love others. Also, love your family and do special things for your families. You know, one of the things, I haven't cooked in years. I mean, I've cooked, but I cooked so many meals when the kids were growing up, and I kind of retired from cooking for a long time. Now I'm back. I don't cook all the time, but I get a lot of joy out of cooking for my daughters. And that may not be any great big fancy meal. It's just I enjoy cooking for them and having them put their feet, and my son, and put their feet under my table. I love that. And I like to just sit around and listen to them talk. And so I get a lot of joy out of that. And you know, things that used to be a chore, but it's not anymore. Now, do I want to cook all the time? No, and I'm not, but I enjoy cooking for them and surprising them occasionally. So, last thing, forgive yourself for what you don't do and ask God to help you on a daily basis and get off your own back. I've said that 2 or 3 times. Forgive yourself what you don't do. Put lots of life into your years instead of just taking on those years to your life. So, what do y'all do to stay young? What do you do to get for joy in your life? What do you do for fun? What do you do for excitement? What do you do for peace and joy? Who wants to start?